Hey there, Rich Florence, the Underdog Coach. Got a very important sales tip that I want to share with you that I'm confident can help you sell more and ultimately make more money. And this is something that really made a huge impact on me and helping me to understand the sales process. And it's something that I find is very helpful to people that I'm working with and training. And I've seen it's a common mistake, especially when people are just starting out in sales and learning and so forth. So I hope it can be helpful for you. But it really starts with the idea of understanding that people in general do not like making decisions. None of us really do. It's the reason why when you go out with a group of people and they say, hey, where would you like to eat? Everybody says, well, I don't care. Or, I don't know, where do you want to go? I mean, this is a common thing that people just generally don't like making decisions. So it's important to understand this when you're working with people or when you're working with people, particularly in sales, because you got to understand that the person you're selling to also doesn't like making decisions. So you want to help people to feel comfortable and never have to make a very large decision. And that's just an important concept to understand. So I want to kind of give you several examples to help it be clear. Understand, this is not a form of manipulation or some kind of trickery or anything like that. In sales, what are we ultimately doing is we are trying to fill a need. We're trying to solve a problem. And so most of the time, a lot of times, the person you're selling to is aware of the problem. They understand that there's a need. In some cases, maybe that they're not aware and you're helping them to discover that they have this particular need because they're not aware of it. But a lot of times they are aware, but they still don't want to make that decision. And so it's important to understand this concept. And so what happens is so often people will go out, you're starting with a person here, and they'll just go right into asking that person if they want to make a decision to solve their problem or fill their need. I'll give you a couple examples. If you were to go onto a car lot and someone walks right up and says, hey, you looking at buying a car? Most people would respond with, no, we're just looking. Even if they really are, they don't want to be put in a situation that they have to make a decision like that. So the proper way, I'll give you several illustrations. I'll give a simple one. Let's say, for example, that you're going to a food court, right? And you're there and you're trying to decide where would I like to go eat. And you're trying to decide, you're looking around, and Chinese restaurants do this so well. This is just a very simple illustration, but it really hits home because they'll say, hey, would you like to try a sample? Well, that's a small decision that you go say, well, I'll try a sample. You try a sample, and if you're still a little bit undecided, right, they'll, hey, would you like to try something else? And now once you've tried a few things, you've taken a couple little baby step decisions, we're like, okay, I think I'll go ahead and try that. Right? Now that's a small decision on where you want to go eat lunch, but it applies to everything anything that we're buying or when we're selling something to someone. For example, if you were to go to a car lot, and let's just say you're at a car dealership and your car is being serviced, and so you got some time, you've been thinking about getting another car, and so you decide to kind of walk around the lot. You're really just looking. If that car salesman comes right up to you and says, hey, you looking to buy a car? Most of the time that's going to push people back. It's going to create too much tension because the salesperson is asking that person to sort of make a decision and let them know, yeah, I'm looking to buy a car. People don't want to make that kind of big decision. So what typically an easier way to go about this would be say, hey, would you like for me to get the key so you can look inside that car? It's a very, very small decision that the salesperson is asking that person to take. Right? Well, if they're looking at the car and they seem like they kind of like it, he might say, hey, would you like to go for a test drive? And it's another small, simple decision that person, yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a test drive. Right? And before you know it, that person has made a bunch of decisions and possibly bought a new car. This happened to me not too long ago. I was looking to buy a new suit. And I decided in my mind that I was going to go to several different places and look at some different suits, try on several and so forth. So the first place I went into, the person there, she was very, very good, and she did such a great job of this because I was just going in to look. I did have a need. I wanted a new suit. I knew I did, but I kind of wasn't ready to fully make that decision. And so, because I wanted to kind of learn and get comfortable, well, I go in and the first thing I do is instead of coming and said, hey, you looking to buy a new suit? Because that would have created tension. What she did is she said, hey, do you know what size you are? And I said, well, to be honest, I can't really remember what size I am, and it could have changed a little bit. She said, well, I'll tell you, let me just measure you real quick so you'll know what size you are. Very small decision that she asked me to make. After she did that, she went and grabbed a couple coats that were the size that she just measured me for and said, here, why don't you try this on and just see how that fits since I just measured you. I tried it on, right? Then she asked me just a simple question. She said, hey, what kind of suit are you looking for? What are you looking? Are you looking for like a wedding, for business? And I told her kind of what I was looking for, a new suit primarily for, maybe a wedding, but primarily more business settings. So she kind of steered me towards like more of the traditional color. She said charcoal's a good color. She said, hey, let me go grab one. She grabbed a couple different ones. Small little decision, asked if I wanted to try it on. I said, hey, sure, why not? Then she asked me, she said, hey, what's your basic price range? And so I gave her, kind of told her the reality is how much my price range, what I would be willing to spend. And so she kind of steered me that direction. She let me try on a couple suits that were my size, that fit me right, that were the right color for what I was looking for, and within the price range that I had told her. So through a series of small decisions that she led me down. And once I'm trying on the suit, she said, hey, when do you need this by? And I said, well, ideally I'd like to have it this coming up weekend in a few days. I said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you step right on over here, and our person, I forgot her name already, will go ahead and just measure you up. She can get that fitting really good, and it can be ready for you tomorrow morning if you like. And before you know it, the first place I went into, I bought the suit. Even though I had full intentions of going several different places, she did such a great job, not of manipulating me, but of helping me make a somewhat bigger decision by only having to make a series of small decisions. She made it easy on me so that I didn't have to go make a really big decision. And this is so important. And understand, every sales process should have some series of decisions like this that you lead people through. I know if I'm working with people in the particular business that I work with people in, I will definitely teach them a process that they need to go through in order to get over here to the final decision, right? And I'll teach them those steps. But it's so common, and depending on what it is you might be selling. Let's say, for example, you're meeting with someone and you're with a potential customer or client. Maybe they already have something in place similar to what you have. Sometimes people will throw out things, well, hey, you should consider buying from me. I can maybe offer you something better. Well, that little question right there, asking people to make this huge decision, again, it creates tension. And so it's learning how to, depending on what it is you do, but understanding the process specific for your business. In those cases, it makes a lot more sense to say, hey, that is awesome that you've already got whatever it is in place, right? But I tell you what, when's the last time you sat down with somebody and reviewed your plan? Hey, I tell you what, why don't we sit down and I could give you just a complimentary review just to see if possibly I could offer something competitive or better. I may not be able to, but since you hadn't sat down and reviewed it, why don't we take a look at it and just kind of go do a complimentary review, right? That's a much smaller decision than asking people to make a big decision to change. So this is just is a very important concept to understand. If you want to increase your sales, is understand your particular sales process. There is a process. Depending on how large of a purchase that you're asking people to make will vary how many different steps there are. And the example I gave of a new suit, obviously that was a pretty quick process and it all happened fairly quickly, but still she understood that I didn't just walk in and she tried to sell me right away and make a big decision, because that would have created tension, because she would have been asking me to make a big decision. Instead, she led me through a series of small decisions to ultimately end up at the same place. It was more comfortable for me, and ultimately she helped solve my problem. I got exactly what I was looking for, right? So again, if you're selling, our goal is not to manipulate. If you're leading people through and you can't solve their problem or fill their need, then that you should not continue to move them through the process. This is about helping people to understand and get to the place that they ultimately want to get, but by making small decisions, leading them through small decisions. So again, I encourage you, depending on what type of sales you're in, learn the process and know it, so in your mind when you're working with people, you don't try to take too many steps. Just like a baby, you would not tell your baby or try to encourage your baby to skip crawling and make them start running, right? You let them take those baby steps gradually, and the same thing is true in sales. So hey, I'd love to hear your comments. If you're in sales, what do you think? Tell me your comments, comment below. And hey, please subscribe to my channel right below there. You can click the little icon button, the little notification button, so you'll be notified of new videos. I'd love to hear your feedback. Like the video, and until next time, make it a great day.